beautiful people. It's Beauty Revolution. So how can we know if we have pretty privilege? Here are several ways that you can tell if you are someone who benefits from lookism or pretty privilege. One thing that I think you may not have considered that men from the LGBTQ community probably are attracted to you. If you have pretty privilege, they are probably going to find you attractive. Now, you're probably like, what are you talking about? Are you talking about DL guys? And possibly, I have heard from a lot of other men that DL men will actually get with some of the more beautiful women in order to mask the fact that they are a part of the LGBT community. But I've actually had men who are openly from that community come up to me and compliment my appearance and tell me like, hey, I want to hang out with you. You're beautiful. Like, literally, I've had several of them do this to me. I've even had one proposition me, an openly LGBTQ man openly proposition me. And I'm like, no, thank you. But yeah, that's one thing you may not have considered, because if these men, if they're amongst themselves saying like, okay, these men tend to go for very attractive women, or their beard or whatever, or they may surround themselves with a lot of women, that could really let you know kind of where you stand on like the lookism scale. Now, let me give a disclaimer. There are definitely exceptions to the rule. I'm not saying that all men who are from the LGBTQ community will come up to you and tell you this, but in my opinion, there is a reason why they want to look like beautiful women, and I'm just going to leave that there. So a lot of people know that another way you know if you have pretty privilege is that children will be attracted to you. They will want to come and be around you. I even had this 1-year-old come up to me and give me a hug randomly in the mall. They will stare at you. They will want to get your attention. There are things like that. Another way you can tell if you have pretty privilege is people want to do things for you. They either want to give you free stuff, they want to either give you money, or they want to help you. They're more readily available to you for their services or their help. I mean, I have had a guy, and I do not look homely. Like, one day I was like, wait, hold on. This guy came up to me and he just gave me $100. Like, he just was like, I want to give this to you. And this was in the garden area of Home Depot. He just gave me some money. And then another time I was in South Carolina with my friend visiting her family, and I was just hula hooping in their little downtown in this small town in South Carolina. And this guy just walked up to me, gave me some money. I was like, oh, I'm not busking. And he's like, oh, well, you just seem talented, so I just want to give you money. And some people are more willing to also help you. So one time my car just like stopped in the middle of the road. I was like down the street from my home, and this is in a more affluent area. So the people that are there, I feel like people who are more affluent are less likely to help the needy. But not saying I'm needy, but I did need help that day because I'm like, oh my gosh, my car. And I literally had car after car after car stop to come and help me. Oh, you need some help? You need some help? Like, you know, because a lot of people, and I actually hate this, okay? Like, I really do not like the fact that people will judge the needy, because I'm actually somebody who advocates for the homeless. I really have a lot of empathy for them. I know some of them are dealing with various issues like substance abuse, with mental illness. And if you've been working with people from that community for a long time, you will be able to tell who is battling with what in particular. You will know who is probably just down on their luck. And the violence, like the lack of empathy that these people get is crazy. And there's this one guy I see all the time. He's a very friendly old man. Sometimes I'll just stop and I'll talk to him, give him some food or whatever I got on me, or I'll go get him something. And one day I was sitting with him on this main road, and I just parked my car somewhere and I went and sat with him. And people were stopping to help him. Well, they thought I needed help from him, but I'm like, no, I'm good. We're just chilling. And they were more prone to help him. So this is one of the good qualities of pretty privilege, is that you can actually use your beauty to help other people. Because he even said to me, he was like, oh, you're getting me some help out here. He's like, you sitting with me is helping me get some money and make some money out here. And I just thought that was interesting, because you can use your beauty to help other people. You know, a lot of people, when they discuss pretty privilege, are discussing it in terms of self-actualization or self-growth or opportunities for oneself. But I think a lot of people don't discuss how beauty in time has always been used a lot in order to help other groups of people. Think of Judith, think of Esther, right? These women use their looks in order to help a vast, large number of people get out of a very bad situation. That is the power that beauty has, right? So here's another way you can tell if you have pretty privilege, is that people are more willing to give you a second chance. So, you know, a lot of people say like, oh, first impressions, they count. You know, once you have a first bad impression, then it's really hard to recover from that. I find that with people who are attractive, they tend to have more leniency when it comes to getting chances, second chances, third, fourth, fifth chances. I mean, like, look at how many people have had their mug shots taken, right? And just because they're attractive, people are like, oh, I want to be with you, let me write you letters in the mail. Like, even though these are like some heinous people, I tend to think that men actually benefit more from pretty privilege than women do. And I'm going to make a separate video about that, because I think I could really dive deep into how men actually benefit more when they're attractive than women do, because men already have male privilege, and then you put pretty privilege on top of that. Whew, you have somebody who literally could do anything. Okay, so anyways, you can get so many chances. People are way more forgiving of people who are beautiful. It's sad, but it's true. Okay, people tend to be more forgiving of people who are either beautiful, and I spoke about this in another video, but people are more forgiving of people who are beautiful and people who have some sort of physical disability, because people pity them and people feel sorry for them, and they're like, oh, let me help you. And when it comes to beautiful people, they're like, oh, they can't be that bad. So people who are attractive tend to have this chameleon-like nature where they get to fit into different spots. And that's going to roll me into my next point, is that when you have pretty privilege, is you are able to fit into various groups of people, even if you're not culturally or ethnically from those groups of people. I have seen this all the time growing up, all around the world. See, I have been to over 10 countries. Let me know down below if you want me to talk about that, my experiences with pretty privilege in other countries, or my experience being an exotical or a Black woman in other countries, and how that played out, especially when you go to other countries without this inferiority complex, thinking like, oh, they're not gonna like me because I'm Black. If you are beautiful, none of that matters. I'm serious, and that's sad to say, but that's the truth. Okay, I have been called a chameleon by so many people. So I think that's one thing that exoticals, for example, have an advantage over a lot of other groups of people, because I find that exoticals, and when I say exotical, I mean like women who have who are Black or have some adjacency to Blackness, so they're either mixed race or multiracial, and have the benefit of this chameleon like essence to them, right? They're able to fit into different ethnic groups of people, which is why some people have a broader understanding of what an exotical is. I tend to have a narrower view, and that's just because of my own personal experience. Having been to all these different countries, I have been told, like, oh, are you from here? Oh, is your mama Japanese? Or are you from the Philippines? Or are you from here? Like, I have gotten that so much because I have a very ambiguous looking face. So especially if I have not tanned too much, like, I look very ambiguous. I think what gives me away now is that I have locks, which I prefer. Oh my gosh, it just looks natural. It looks the best on me, I think. But when I was wearing wigs before, and I would have like the straighter hair or the looser curly hair or the wavy hair on my head, I mean, people would literally think it was my hair. They would be like, where are you from? What are you mixed with? What are you, like, what are you? You know, we can tell you're kind of some kind of Black. I even had a guy from, I think he was from Chile. I was on this app learning Spanish, and you get to meet all these different people from all these different countries. I think he was from Chile. And I told him that I was Black because he was asking me what I was. And he looked like, we kind of look the same, like we had a very similar phenotype, but he was like, no, you're not. And I'm like, yes, I am. Like, here in America, I am Black. Like, my parents are Black, their parents are technically Black, I guess. But when I go into it, like, I could tell you other things about this. My parents, I would consider my parents exoticals. Their parents are exoticals, but they are Black exoticals, if that makes sense. Like, there's a lot going on there, okay? There's a lot of older generational mixing in my family, and now new. Another way to tell if you have pretty privilege is that you are able to get indoors you technically are not qualified to get into. When I say that is you are better able or more easily able to fake it until you make it. So people will just think that you're qualified just because you look good. And anybody who tells you that pretty privilege does not work on women is lying. Literally, pretty privilege works on women. Women are highly critical of each other when it comes to each other's looks. When it comes to bullying online, it's usually other women who are bullying you for how you're dressed, how you're wearing your hair, whatever, your skin color. Like, so for all of the colorist comments and all the colorist creators out there, really they're talking to other colorists because it tends to be them who are the ones who are colorists. But anyways, you tend to be able to get into some doors that somebody else otherwise would not be able to get into. So I have qualified for jobs, for positions, for roles, and for different, just anything, just because of that privilege. So for example, I was trying out for Far East. So Far East is basically this competition that you can go on, and it is the different Asian countries coming together, the military schools that are in these Asian countries come together to compete into whatever or showcase whatever. And I was in Far East Drama and Theater, and I was trying out for the lead role. I knew that this girl, she was a better actress, okay? And I am not somebody who will shy away from giving someone their props. If you're a better actor, singer, whatever than me, I will let you know. Like, I'm not perfect. I cannot do it all, okay? But I knew she was a better actress than me. But I ended up getting the role anyways because, well, pretty privilege. I was able it was my face that they wanted as the lead role. And she ended up not even staying in the club for us to go to Far East because she didn't get the lead role. And I honestly felt like she deserved it more than I did. But I literally, I didn't like quit. I'm not gonna like give up because you gave up. And I don't know. I feel like looking back on it, I probably could have been like, hey, I think she would be better for the lead. But let's be real, that this is just the world that we're navigating in. I did a poll the other day asking you guys or anybody who randomly came across my poll, do you think that anyone can obtain pretty privilege? And a lot of you said no. Most of you said no. And I think that's interesting because I really do think that anyone can obtain pretty privilege, but for some it's going to take way more work. You may even need to get surgeries to obtain the level of pretty privilege that another can. Now, that all depends on what you have to do to get it. For some people, it might just be losing weight and changing your hairstyle and learning a new makeup routine. For some people, they may have some deformities or maybe some imbalances within their face or their body, and they need to get that changed. For some people, they are born with it. Okay, that is just the reality of the world we are living in, right? So when it comes to leveling up with pretty privilege, it's much easier for you to get promotions at jobs. It is much easier for you to stay at jobs. It's much easier for you to get away with things. It is easier for you to get access to things you otherwise wouldn't get access to. People are nicer to you. People are more intense towards you. Let me not say that. People are more intense towards you. So you either will get people who are very nice to you or people who are very mean. Like beauty inspires something really intense in people, and they have very strong feelings towards the beautiful person. So if you have pretty privilege, another thing you may know is that the reality is you may have a harder time being friends with women. And a lot of people, you say something like that, like, oh, most of my friends were males growing up. They're going to be like, you're a pick me, you're a pick Misha. And the reality is that only women who say that are the ones who never benefited from their pretty privilege. Let's be real. Women who benefit from pretty privilege have a much harder time maintaining genuine female friendships. And that is because there is a lot of competition amongst women for the attention of males. Okay. Most women are male centered. That is the reality of the world we are living in. The decentered male movement is something very, very new to our world. Okay. In our history. Okay. So when you have a lot of women who are very insecure, I mean, I have had girls tell me, I had this one girl, I was friends with her in class, right? She was like my class friend. And she was having a birthday party and she was inviting everyone. And she was openly talking about it. And I was like, oh, I want to go. And she was like, no, I don't want you to go because you'll take all of the attention away. And I was like, wow, like I ended up still going or whatever, and I wasn't taking the attention from anything. I probably might have been us unconsciously, like it was not consciously done. Okay, I just wanted to fit in with other people, but I just stood out so much. And so there was also another time where I had this one friend and she would always make comments about my appearance. And this was a white girl. And I was actually friends with a lot of white girls growing up until they saw that their guys were attracted to me. Because I think the thing about white women, and we don't really discuss white women and women from other races on this channel very much, but the thing about them is that they never really saw us as competition until it became more apparent that their men were attracted to women of other races, And so when that became apparent to her and she was like, oh, she would say this, nobody's talking to me. Everybody's talking to you. I don't get it. Right. She would say, I don't understand that. And I'm like, I don't know. Maybe it's my confidence. And she would be so mad. And we were hanging out with one of my guy friends at the time. This was a very genuine guy friend. And he called her out. He was like, jelly like a fish. And I started laughing because I was like, no way. Like, this is my girl. I was a little naive, because I never really had a lot of girlfriends. And so she started crying. And I was like, why are you crying? Like, this is not a sad thing. He's joking, right? Like, it's not true. And apparently it was true. Come to find out, she was so mad. This one guy was talking to her, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna go over here. And she was like, you're just mad because you're not getting all the attention today. I think that was the last time I hung out with her, because I was like, girl, you are tripping out, okay? So that is one thing that will let you know that you have pretty privilege. Is not, I mean, for some of y'all, it's your personality. But I find that toxic women tend to have an abundance of friends. But anyways, I really find that a lot of women who are attractive and who are confident tend to have more male friends. That's just the reality. It was because there was this competitive nature that was just not there anymore. It wasn't because, oh, girls don't like me because, I'm not like them. It wasn't that. I loved women, okay? I still do to this day. I wanted to have girlfriends. I wanted to be around them, but I could only have just one other girl be my friend at a time, because she also had pretty privilege. She was like my friend, my best friend in high school. Oh my gosh, I love her, but she was gorgeous. And so we rode together, okay? Like, that was my ride or die. And we hung out with guys because, yes, these guys, they probably lusted over us or whatever. They tried us a couple of times. But the reality is that there was a playful nature to it. It didn't feel dangerous, and there wasn't this competitive nature, because see, when our guy friends would be like, hey, come hang out with these other girls with us, the girls would hate us. Like, we literally walked into a party, and these girls that were sitting in this group literally were giving us the nastiest, ugliest, grossest looks. They wouldn't even talk to me and my friend, okay? And so it's like, what are we supposed to do if you guys are isolating us and forcing us to only hang out with guys? You know what I mean? Like, what are we supposed to do? Just be lonely? And a lot of people want the beautiful person to be lonely, right? Pretty privilege is not always a privilege. There are positives and negatives to pretty privilege. Yes, you can get into doors, you can do other things that a lot of people cannot do, but you have to realize that there's a limit to those things, and a lot of that it's not genuine. Now, for some people it is genuine, okay? Some people, they just fall in love with you because you're beautiful, okay? And so when people see outer beauty, they're also equating it to inner beauty, which is why I teach that on this channel, is that you need to create a symbiotic relationship between the two so that you really can maximize on your pretty privilege. But you have to know boundaries, because a lot of people are trying to get access to your beauty for their own reasons. Okay, so maybe they want to be in closer proximity to you. Maybe they want to get closer to you for a relationship or whatever, right? So you have to realize that that is definitely a thing that you are going to experience with pretty privilege. So I'm sure there are other tips. People have made tons of videos out there how to know if you have pretty privilege. I just wanted to share with you my things that I have noticed with having pretty privilege. And yeah, so tell me what you guys think. If you want to add anything to this conversation, please comment down below, like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.